And in the trailers, it looks like Loki kept going back in time to different like historical events. So I think that's what we're going to see next episode. Like Mobius is going to tell him like, you got to go here because we have a Loki variant that is at this spot. We need you to take him down, like, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, we need you to go here and take down this Loki variant here. And then we eventually get to the most chaotic Lady Loki that we see at the end of episode 1. And then he takes her down, and then we see Kang and some shit like that. But I know we're going back in time and going throughout time to see other Loki variants as well. So this isn't going to be the only one we see, because in the trailer we seen Loki was going to be like wearing like a crown or some shit like that, the crown that he usually wears with the horns on it.
The horns,
and then and it looks like he's going to go up against himself.
You are now listening to the Q&E Podcast.
Is this what you want? Huh? Is this what you want?
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Q&E Podcast, and you're here with your boy Q Hicks right now. And I got Edgar on the other line. Edgar, tell the people what's good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Q&E Podcast. Today we are reviewing Loki episode 1. This episode was titled Glorious Purpose. Finally got another Marvel show back, man, after the great start with WandaVision and then followed up by Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We have about a month and a half in between now with this and then. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I love this episode.
It was a setup episode. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say it was flames or nothing like that. I've been saying that was like the consensus, but I would just say it was okay. It felt like it was just too much talking for me. It was too much talking for I felt like the first episode. I don't know. I really ain't banging with it like a lot of people did though.
Biggest plot points from episode 1 are the multiverse of madness has begun, and 2, Loki has to go against himself, and 3, Loki opens up about his reasonings for killing. I feel like these were the 3 biggest plot points from this episode due to all the Easter eggs that were dropped. Within like the first 15 minutes, there were a shit ton of Easter eggs dropped in this that are playing towards, the next Doctor Strange movie, possibly the next Spider-Man movie, and everything going ahead. The Eternals, I feel like there were so many gems dropped in this episode. So I was definitely full eyes on with this episode. I had to rewind a few parts just so I can get, certain theories up the par and everything.
And I wanted to know what was going to be impacted. That's what I'm really looking forward to with this show. What is going to be impacted looking into the future, because it's going to be like 2012. I'm guessing it's still 2012 in this time that we're in right now. So how is it going to impact, the future? Or is the future going to stay the same? And like, it's weird, bro, because it's a multiverse right now. So is the future that we already seen with Endgame going to be affected by the things that Loki will be doing and these adventures that he eventually goes on in this show? That's what I want to know. Is what we seeing going to be changed, or will that be the same from like the actual movie?
I feel like everything is going to be changed, bro, because when it's a multiverse situation, different timelines are affected. And I just want to go ahead and say this now. The theories that we had of what Wanda was doing affecting other timelines, I don't think that's true anymore. I don't think that prediction we made is true, because why didn't the TVA pop up during that moment? I feel like that must have
Say that one more time. What did you say?
The TVA didn't pop up when Wanda, not Wanda, but Agatha created that Nexus thing that she created. Well, we thought it was a Nexus thing, but that barrier that she made in WandaVision that all the people were captured in, it wasn't a Nexus situation where it affected multiple timelines. So I think it actually went with the flow of time that the timekeepers had in place. So I think that's why the TVA didn't show up. So when Loki was asking how come what I did affected the timekeeper's flow of time and everything, is because what Loki did actually wasn't planned. He wasn't supposed to take the time stone. But what Wanda and Agatha had going on, that didn't affect anything. So our predictions months ago about that creating a split in the multiverse and everything, I don't think that was true. But we start the episode off with, like I just said, Loki takes the Tesseract in 2012 from the Endgame scene that we seen in 2019 when they were trying to collect all the Infinity Stones. And once he takes the Tesseract, he lands in the Gobi Desert. He's still in the same time zone, just in a different area. And the Time Variance Authority arrives and they come through this portal. And at first I'm like, oh shit, this is some space police type shit. So they arrest Loki and you see them drop down this little time bomb thing, and I guess it resets the timeline. I didn't know what they meant when they kept saying that. So were you confused by that too?
Well, of resetting of timelines, no, I
Yeah.
think your timeline just will be like destroyed in general, and then I guess everything will reset after that and go back to normal on the pure timeline of what they were talking about. That's all resetting is. Your timeline just gets killed, and that extra branch is knocked off, and that's the same. And that's why I was so surprised that what's my boy name, Mobius, took started like actually working with Loki later in this episode, because I'm like, if y'all was so worried about his branch actually affecting the future, why are you keeping him alive and like y'all playing with him? Like, just knock him off so everything can go, you know what I'm saying, the way y'all want it to go. If y'all really are the actual time watchers, y'all should just be focused on the time, not trying to, you know what I'm saying, get inside Loki's mind and all that shit that they were trying to do with Mobius. I'm like, if y'all were really time watchers, y'all would just focus on getting the timeline straight, not what the fuck Loki doing and what he got going on and why he killing people and all that shit. So
yeah, I was confused on it too with the time reset thing. I was like, because you explained it now, so it makes sense. But I'm like, are they just gonna rewind everything when they go back through the portal? But I'm like, that's not gonna work because Loki isn't there anymore. So rewinding isn't gonna help anything. But it makes sense what you said now. If like they're just gonna completely destroy that timeline and then reset.
Yeah. Because they showed it in that cartoon, and I'm glad they showed that cartoon. They gave you like a nice little visual of how everything works. If a nexus moment happens, the extra like branch comes out, and they said if you actually get reset, that whole branch ends up that's like getting killed in general, and like you don't move forward in that timeline at all. You just go away like a ghost. Like niggas not gonna realize you gone and shit like that. So it would have been the same thing for Loki, because Loki really just disappeared in that moment. So nobody would have known where Loki was. They would have just said Loki is wherever Loki is. They wouldn't have thought about it anymore and just thought Loki was just wherever doing mischievous shit, when really he could have been reset.
And another thing that I noticed since you said that, remember in Endgame when the Hulk was talking to the lady who trained Doctor Strange, and she was showing him the different timelines, and she showed how what happens when one splits off. That's exactly what I pictured when I seen that cartoon. So that's cool how they got them all connecting. But we get to that point once he's taken to the TVA headquarters. He's going through processing, and he learns of the multiverse war. And the timekeepers learn, and he learns that he is a variant while he's learning about the timekeepers. And for all of you who do not know, variants are people who go out of their timeline and it doesn't go with the correct flow of time. Because I learned watching that cartoon, Mobius explained it was either Mobius or one of the other like variant police. They explained that what Captain Rogers did was okay. It went with the flow of time when they took the stones because they put them back in the correct order. But I was confused on how I was like, so certain people can skip time and certain people can't. So I didn't know what the hell was going on. I had to rewatch that shit like 3 times.
Yeah.
What else was going on in that though? Oh, the timekeeper situation was crazy to me though when they explained that, because I'm like, it's kind of like some Harry Potter shit where you got like the Deathly Hallows and shit. That's the vibe I was getting when I seen that.
From which one? Are you talking about like the actual timekeepers of it? The 3 of them you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I heard like in a breakdown I was looking at that they were actually made by like the another like timekeeper, and they were just made to like keep everything like, you know what I'm saying? It showed it in like the visual, like just keep everything in line and shit. And I heard that one of those timekeepers could be KANG. And we could be seeing a KANG.
Heard that too.
Yeah, we could be seeing a KANG appearance in this show as well. And they said the person that was like the judge of Loki's trial was somebody in the comics that was like dating KANG and was messing with KANG at one point. So she could be working with KANG trying to get him, or KANG could be trying to have her do something for him regarding like the timeline or something like that, so he can run amok and do whatever the fuck he want to do in this multiverse that we're going to see moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I read some theories too saying that KANG could come in, because I had to look up some of Loki's enemies. I'm like, who the hell could Loki?
I didn't know anything about Loki.
Yeah, I didn't really focus on Loki that much either. Like whenever I did read comics or watching the movies, because I'm gonna say it again. As great as a hero as Thor is, his movies were terrible. His individual movies I did not care for. So there might have been gems in those movies that could clearly point to whoever Loki going against. Y'all, I just didn't care to watch the Thor movies. So
I think they showed a scene of like Thor 2, and I really did not remember that scene at all. I was like, I barely remember Thor 2. I remember Thor 1 a little bit, but Thor 2, I'm like, I don't even remember if I watched this shit for real.
I think it was a scene I remember where he thought Loki died, but that's when he found out. Like,
yeah, that was the scene. Yeah, I was like, I don't even remember this shit like that.
And then Loki came back. Yeah, that's the only scene I remember. Got to do better, Marvel. With Thor, y'all got to do better.
they got it right with that Ragnarok shit. So hopefully they keep that same. Yeah. Hopefully they keep it with that same theme, bro.
Right. And while Loki is being processed through the TVA, we fast forward to Morbius and the TVA authorities, and they're in France way back in 1549, and they're checking the crime scene of supposedly another killing from a loose variant. There's another variant out on the loose right now, and this is before we find out at the end of the episode that it is another Loki. So everyone's questioning right now what the hell is going on, who is doing this, and he gets this evidence from a child, and he sees that Loki is in the TVA prison when one of the officers come to him. So in that moment, who did you feel like could have been the variant going around killing people?
I knew it was a version of Loki. Like I watched a lot of stuff like leading into this first episode of Loki to like prepare myself, and they said this show was going to be about Loki variants. Loki was going to have to chase himself and like kill himself. So I knew it was going to have something to do with Loki. But I heard a lot of theories of people thinking like the devil in the background who the kid ended up pointing at was Mephisto. But they ended up saying like before this episode even came out, like the Mephisto's not going to be a part of this series. But I would have thought that same thing too, though. If I would have seen that devil, I would be like, oh, that's Mephisto. But he's not going to be in the series, though.
I thought Mephisto was going to be in it, too, because I'm thinking that's what the other Loki is doing. I'm thinking the other Loki is also a variant because he probably got in contact with Mephisto in a different timeline, and Mephisto probably granted him something in exchange for something else, and he's trying to conquer different multiverses. So I'm thinking that's what the hell's going on.
That could be what the other Loki that we see at the end. That she could have some type of connection with Mephisto. We don't know who she's connected to or whatever, where she even came from. But we know that is Loki. But we don't know what contact she has had. But that is possible though. So I like that.
I'm gonna stick with the Mephisto point. So yeah, I'm sticking with that prediction. I feel like the other Loki has done something with Mephisto and got granted some type of powers to jump from universe to universe, because I feel like that Loki is the one who really set off the Nexus event, and the Loki that we're seeing now was just another situation. So the reason they got him is because they're trying to figure out why are two of you doing the exact same thing it is at the same time. So I feel like that's what it is. But then we go back to Loki. Like you said, Loki goes to trial, and the judge tells him what the Avengers did was supposed to happen, like I just said, and him getting away was not. And he finds out his powers do not work in the TVA time period, where I don't even think there is a flow of time really where they are. Time is just whatever it is.
Because if you seen that clock, it was like one scene where you seen a clock, and the clock didn't have like the regular like 12 numbers.
Yeah,
like,
it was just going.
Yeah, that shit had like 40 something ticks on it. Like time moved completely different when you're in the TVA. So yeah.
I wonder, does it even move at all? Shit, I wouldn't be surprised if it don't. And Morbius, Morbius goes to his court hearing, and he pulls him from court before they decide to reset him. And Morbius tells everyone, look, I'm going to see if this guy can help us for real. We know who he is. We know his background, and we've seen his entire life already. So let's just see if we can play with something that isn't really supposed to be happening right now for our benefit. And Morbius takes Loki into this room.
Which is weird. Which is weird because... Why does he want to do that? Like, does he know about the other Loki? The Loki that we seen at the end? I feel like he has to know about her, about the person that we seen at the end.
Because he told him. Help. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm like to say, like, why are you asking for help if you already know that you're chasing that Loki? Okay, so that makes sense then. Yeah.
Yeah, because he picking his brain. In this next scene, like he's playing Loki's highlights and lowlights throughout his entire life, and he's asking Loki a lot of like important questions about himself. And I think that's why I like this episode so much, because we got to really get a human side of Loki. We had a few moments here and there in certain movies that we've seen him in, but this movie, Morbius was really asking him, look, what is your purpose? Like, why do you enjoy killing people? Why do you kill people? Why do you do what you do? And I think he was picking his brain because he's trying to figure out, why should I use you if I'm planning on using you to catch yourself? And I love the fact that we actually got to know Loki for who he really is. And he says his destiny is going to be fulfilled because of what he's owed, not because of what the timekeepers allow.
Yeah, and I was cool with what we already knew about Loki and his reasonings before. I felt like Loki was trying to do what he did because he was just arrogant as hell and didn't want to be like the B brother to Thor. He wanted to outshine Thor, so he wanted to be on that same type of level. So he wanted to overthrow everything, to overshadow Thor and be like the supreme brother. I felt like that was a pretty good reason. Like I didn't need to know like the background, why you wanted to kill. I understand it for the anti-hero story. You got to get to know the actual protagonist in this story, but I was kind of cool with just knowing that. I feel like he was just trying to be an arrogant asshole in the beginning and just trying to be like the best brother, but he always knew that he could not be better than Thor. Thor will always be the best, and Thor always ended up on top and in better situations.
But I think I liked it for the reason you didn't like it, because I felt like there was just always more to Loki. Like, as we seen him in more and more episodes and not episodes, but more and more movies and stuff like that, I'm like, there has to be a deeper meaning behind what he's doing, because he's lost every single situation he's been in. So why does he keep trying to do what he's trying to do, with conquer everything? And he was basically saying, look, I think he is older than Thor if they're the same age, but he still feels like, look, I was around Odin before Thor was, so I rightfully was supposed to be the next king of Asgard, not Thor. So since he was surpassed when Thor was born because of the birthright, that's why he feels, look, I'm owed to be ruler. I'm owed to be in charge of something. And the fact that I'm just not anymore, that's why I go about the evil shit that I go about. So I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense.
But I feel like that was understood, though. That's what I just said about the whole Thor thing. I feel like that was understood. Yeah, that's what I said. Like in the first couple of Thors, you got that. Yeah, because like in the first Thor, didn't he fight against? Wasn't it a Loki and Thor fight at the end of the first Thor? Like that was like the main plot of Thor 1. So I'm like, I kind of understood like why he wanted to do it, because Thor took what was his. Like that was their main beef. So I was like, okay, you're diving deeper into it. But like we already knew why he wanted to do it. He wanted to overthrow and wanted to be better than Thor and that's why he tried to kill Thor, so he can get what he was owed and shit like that. Even though he wasn't the straight descendant of Odin, he wanted to get what he was owed because, like you said, he was there before. So like I said, if you watch the movies, I feel like it was kind of like understood, but they just dove deeper into it. It was cool, but like I said, man, I just felt like it was way too much talking, but it was a setup episode, so I understood it. But it was just like, man, like I wanted to see something different. Even though we're seeing a lot of things that we usually don't see, it was just like, damn, I wish some more shit kind of happened in this episode than just showing us shit and a whole lot of conversation.
True, I understand.
Because
they didn't start off real strong. I thought they started off strong from just a content standpoint, not really with action or anything. Because
I still would say this was the best episode out of all of the shows that we have seen so far. I will say that. Because with WandaVision first episode really wasn't too much in either. Like that's when they had the dinner with the hearts and old boy was choking. Like too much shit ain't happened in WandaVision, and I forgot what happened in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Even though it was a lot of fighting, it wasn't too much crazy shit going on. So this was the best episode, but it still felt like it was missing more action than what I really got with it.
Understandable. And we get to the scene where Loki finds out how to escape. And he finds out how to escape because the band that they put around his neck is kind of like a time rewind skipper type thing, to where if somebody tries to escape, like you can just hit the button and boom, they're right back where they were. So he finds a way to put it on one of the other guards. I forgot her name, but shout out to the head TVA officer. She played Ruby in what's the name? Lovecraft. She played Ruby in Lovecraft Country. So shout out to her for getting him into the Marvel world. I know she probably happy as hell to get that Marvel check.
Yeah, I heard she was in another show or another movie regarding time, and that's why they ended up throwing her in this show, because it's something regarding time. I forgot what the other show was, but she was in something else regarding time as well. And shit, even Lovecraft had some time things involved with it as well. So she was always, that like her pocket, time shit.
Yeah, he put the band on her and he was able to escape, and he was trying to find his way out throughout the entire TVA headquarters, and he came into an office where he finds Infinity Stones in a file cabinet. And he finds out that Infinity Stones are literally worthless in the TVA realm. And I'm like, what? Like, that threw me. I had to pause the show. That threw me through a loop. I'm like, Infinity Stones don't work in the TVA area. How powerful are these TVA people, bro? Like, this shit is scary. This multiverse shit is crazy.
Yeah, and the way they set it up as well, like old boy was describing it, like the worker at the front desk was like, oh yeah, we see those all the time now. Those really ain't shit. I'm like, nigga, what? Like, you nigga on Earth, these are the most powerful things. Like, these shits have caused like half of the planet or half of the world to disappear. And it's funny how they, like, the workers don't know anything. Like, that shit was kind of weird to me too, because you would think like they at least have some context of what everything is. They've been around for so long, but they only know what their job is really. Like, the nigga didn't even know what a fish was at the front. I was like, what the fuck did they do to these niggas, bro? Like, that shit is crazy. When the timekeepers created these niggas, they said, y'all focusing on straight time. We don't want y'all to have no individuality, nigga, no emotion, nigga. Just do your job. Just do your job.
Hey, from a boss perspective, the less you know, the less shit you'll fuck up.
For real.
You can't even know what a fish is. My dog said, I don't even know how to take that threat because I don't know what a fish is.
Yeah. Like, and that shit was kind of crazy when Loki ended up getting the Tesseract back. Hold on, how did he even get to? Oh, he got taken away from in the desert. Okay. I was about to say, how did he even get there in the first place? But okay, I remember it now. So it never did work in the TVA. So yeah.
Yeah, none of the Infinity Stones work. No one can use
his powers don't
or
work.
Anything. Like, the only shit that works is the TVA weapons and whatever the hell the TVA can use given from the timekeepers. And I'm like, bro, I don't know. Who can beat the timekeepers at this point? I don't think anybody could beat the timekeepers.
I don't think you can beat them in their realm. Like, you can't beat them in like their realm. But I feel like if you get outside of that, like where we see the Loki variant was like in Oklahoma or whatever, like if you probably get them outside of in that realm, you could probably do something with them, kill them, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you can't kill them in like the TVA office.
Hey, I feel like those are the new head honchos right now in the Marvel universe, the timekeepers.
That shit definitely crazy, bro.
And once he gets back into the room that Morbius had him in when they were having their talk, he looks at his entire future while he's in there by himself, and he sees how everything would have played out if he went back to where he was and just went about the regular flow of time. And he sees his final moments where Thanos snaps his neck and he dies in Thor's arms as Thanos is on his quest to get all the Infinity Stones. And I feel like Loki was still kind of happy when he seen that, because it was like happiness and sadness at the same time, because it's like, I felt like he felt like the purpose of his life, glorious purpose, like the title said, it was still fulfilled, even though it didn't end how he wanted it to.
Glorious purpose. How so? I forgot what he meant by that.
I mean, I feel like he still, because the last words that he said to Thanos was, "You will never be a god." You know, I feel like he's still
okay.
Yeah, because they told him what the Avengers did with saving the world and everything still happened. So Thanos still was defeated. So like I said, his purpose was still fulfilled, even though his purpose was to die at the hands of Thanos. It's like, look, your brother and them still killed him.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
So that's why I feel like he had mixed emotions.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like he was more so emotional over his mom, seeing his mom dying and shit like that. That was more so emotional than anything. But I just want to know, like, is that scene where he gets his neck snapped, is that still going to happen? Like that, those are the questions that I'm still having. Like future wise, what is he going to have to do to catch this Loki variant, and how it will affect the future? That's what I want to know. Because if his neck never gets snapped, if he ends up saving himself somehow, like going through time in the multiverse, he ends up saving himself. Do they end up saving the world if he doesn't get killed in that moment? Like, like that's what we could be looking at if he ends up saving himself. So we might have a moment where we might have to see Loki see himself get killed in person. He might want to jump in and try to save himself, but it's like, no, I know my purpose. Now my purpose is to get killed to save the greater good. So I got to stand to the side and I have to watch myself get killed. It might be something like that. Even though he's seen it, it might be a scene that later in the show where it's like, oh, I can actually stop it from happening. But you know what I'm saying? Like he don't like, I know my purpose.
I feel like I don't think he'll try to not try to save himself, but I don't feel like he'll see himself die in a sense, because like we said, they reset that timeline. So would it be necessary for him to even go back to that timeline, especially if they have like that neck thing on him? I thought they did when they arrested him early in the episode. I thought they reset that timeline.
He's not reset.
Oh, so he's not reset, but the timeline. But what if they put like a different? You don't think they put a different?
Nothing's reset right now. Nothing's reset. The branches are still going out. That's why we see the Loki variant. That's why we see different Lokis. The multiverse is still going on right now. Nothing is reset. Reset is what we seen with old boy when the old boy had the ticket, or he didn't have his ticket, and he ended up getting like electrocuted by that one little stick or whatever. That's when you get reset, and your whole shit is gone. Like no branches are left of you anymore. But Loki is still alive, so there's still multiverse branches right now. So that's why we still see the Loki at the end. So he's not reset yet. So we still got the timeline that we got.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, this shit is so confusing. It's multiple people everywhere. Like this shit confusing as hell. Yeah. When I tell you, I had to rewind certain parts of the episode like 3 times. Oh my god. And basically, how the episode ends, Morbius comes in. Once he sees Loki has seen his whole future and is upset about he's the reason why his mother is dead in the next couple years. He's the reason why not he's the reason why, but he sees he gets killed by Thanos and everything. And Morbius tells Loki the killer variant that they're hunting is him, and they're going to need him to stop what's going on with this Nexus event. So I have a prediction that I'm gonna just go ahead and say. I feel like we will see Morpheus somewhere in this show. It may not be next episode because I feel like that's super early, but I feel like we will see more. We will see Mephisto, and I feel like this is going to set.
No, he's not gonna be in the show.
You don't feel like he's gonna be in it?
No, like it's reported. Like the people that made the show is reported. That's why I was saying, like everybody was saying that the shit was Mephisto, but it's reported that he's not gonna be in the show. Damn. I said he could still be involved like later in the MCU with Loki, but right now, like he's not going to appear.
Damn, I don't know then. I don't even know if I got a strong prediction here. I just know all this. This shit is setting up Doctor Strange too. That's automatic. Yeah. We know that, but I don't even know if I really got a prediction. This was such a setup episode for episode 1.
Yeah, it was. It was. And it's funny because the person that we seen, I think that was a female, because in one of I had rewinded the episode, and it was like they was looking at his paperwork, Loki's paperwork, and they said his name was Loki Laufeyson and all of that shit. And for his gender, the gender said fluid. It didn't say male. Crazy as fuck. So I think the person that we're chasing right now is a female. And Loki has different versions of himself. The different variants aren't going to be males. Like there's going to be like female Loki that we come in contact with, and I think that's who we seen at the end of episode 1. So yeah, I don't even. It could possibly be like some shit where he doesn't even know that he's running into himself, because it's not going to look like Loki. It's going to look like somebody else, and it's going to be like, damn, like that's you. You know what I'm saying? But you know how like Loki can change faces. So he doesn't have to change. He doesn't have to just stay with his own face. So I think it's the same thing with the lady shit. Like he just turned his face into the lady.
That might be why it says fluid, because he can be anybody at any time. Yeah, okay, I like that. I was thinking it might be Enchantress. We haven't seen Enchantress yet in the MCU. I think her other name is Amora. It's either Amora or Enchantress, either one you want to call her. I think she's like a goddess of evil or something like that. She grew up in in Asgard and everything like that. So I feel like Enchantress, it could possibly be her, or it could be your version of, it might just be Loki in a female body. So I feel like both of those predictions are good. So that's my prediction. It might be Enchantress.
And where do you see the show going moving forward? Do you feel like we're just going to be chasing this lady Loki the whole season, or what other things will we see throughout the season?
Nah, how many episodes is this supposed to be? Like 6,
I was just about to look
8?
it up. I don't know. I really don't know.
Depending on how many episodes it is, each episode is an hour. I don't feel like each episode is going to be drawn out like this. I feel like we will get a Loki
six
to
episodes.
Loki. It's 6. So I feel like by episode 3, we'll definitely get a face-to-face encounter of the two Lokis. And this is going to give a huge Easter egg into one of the movies coming forward in the MCU over this summer or nearing towards holiday season. So don't be surprised if we get a cameo or a name drop of somebody.
I think we're getting Kang in this show. They said that he was supposed to be coming out in Ant-Man, but I think we're going to see him, and I think we're going to catch up to Loki before episode 6. So episode 4 or 5, I feel like he could be catch up to the person that we seen at the end, and then we see Kang pop up. And he's like, oh shit, Kang could be the person that's actually fucking up the whole timeline, and who's like actually made the ripple in the branches and the whole what they call that shit, the pure timeline or whatever. He could be the one who started the whole thing and not Loki. Like Loki, what Loki could have did, it possibly could have not been what started the branches. It could have been something that Kang did, and Kang could be the person who is controlling Lady Loki and making her go all over the place, just destroying shit, going reckless. So I don't know. I feel like Kang could have some control.
Ooh, I got another prediction. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I don't know what episode it's going to be, but I predict Loki will run into Wanda. Because if you remember the end of WandaVision, she was out in the woods, wherever the hell she was, and she was studying the dark magic book that Agatha gave her, and she's going back to find her kids. So she's crossing multiple timelines, so she's creating her own Nexus event. This isn't just what Loki is doing. I feel like they're going to bring in Wanda some kind of way, and he's going to run into her because Wanda is going to be involved in the Multiverse of Madness Doctor Strange movie. So I feel like Loki will run into her. There's going to be a situation where she's probably killing people too, going back into different timelines, trying to find her kids, and she's going to fulfill her purpose too. So Loki is fulfilling his purpose, and Wanda is going to fulfill hers because Agatha told her it's destined for her to like rule the world or like cause torment or whatever and stuff like that. So y'all don't be surprised if we get either a Wanda mention or a Wanda cameo in this where they cross.
Yeah. And I really think this show is going to consist of a lot of Loki going against Loki battles. I don't think we're just going to have this one Loki variant that we're continuing to chase. I think it's going to be multiple Lokis because we have so many branches that we're going off on right now. And in the trailers, it looks like Loki kept going back in time to different like historical events. So I think that's what we're going to see next episode. Like Mobius is going to tell him like, you got to go here because we have a Loki variant that is at this spot. We need you to take him down, like, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, we need you to go here and take down this Loki variant here. And then we eventually get to the most chaotic Lady Loki that we see at the end of episode 1, and then he takes her down, and then we see Kang and some shit like that. But I know we're going back in time and going throughout time to see other Loki variants as well. So this isn't going to be the only one we see, because in the trailer we seen Loki was going to be like wearing like a crown or some shit like that, the crown that he usually wears with the horns on it.
The horns,
and then and it looks like he's going to go up against himself. So it's going to be like other episodes like that where he goes up against himself. So it's like a battle against himself. And it's funny, and that was set up in episode 1 because he was trying to actually came to, you know what I'm saying, the grips with like why he does what he does, and then he's gonna have to face the people that he actually wants to be. Because in one of the Loki variants looked like he was the president, and one of them, I think he won the Battle of New York. I think he beat the Avengers in one timeline, so he has to go up against all of these periods of time where he was in at one point and end up, you know what I'm saying, taking over his Loki variant.
True. I ain't think about that. Ooh, what if we get a Loki that actually beat the Avengers? That's going to be tough.
That's going to be a powerful Loki. Because you remember in that Avengers, like he had a whole portal with, I think aliens was coming.
Yeah, Thanos' army. He had Thanos' whole army.
Yeah, so that nigga had a lot of power here. You know what I'm saying? If he actually would have beat the Avengers, bro. So imagine if we see that Loki, what the Loki that we're seeing in episode 1 will have to go against with that Loki variant. It's like, damn, my nigga, you got to go up against a lot. But you know what I'm saying? You don't know what forces he will have with the TVA backing him up. Like, what type of force he gonna have with hit their army? So I don't know. We don't know how powerful they are at this moment yet, too. So yeah, so it's a lot of shit that we have to see. So this episode really just a setup for what's to come.
Do you think there'll be any mutant plugins or anything? Because he and Thor are both over 1,000 years old. So like you said it, like they're going to go back to the past, probably just like how they're going to go to the future. So do you feel like there might be any hints of how mutants are brought about or anything like that? Or he might do something to cause that or anything?
I think the mutants, we're really going to get the mutants in Eternals. I think everything is pointing towards Eternals. Eternals really started a lot of things, and I think Eternals were made by Celestials, and the Eternals really created the mutants, the mutant gene. So I think that we're going to get all of those details in the Eternals, which comes out in November, but that's coming up very soon. But I don't think we're going to see them yet in Loki. Nah. But one scene I did like in this episode was the DB Cooper scene. If you guys don't know, the DB Cooper scene was the DB Cooper was somebody who ended up robbing. I think he robbed a bank or something like that for like $200 million. Like, this man hit a lick. He ended up getting on a plane, the plane that we end up seeing in the show. I think it was plane 305 going to Seattle. And they said that the plane never landed, or it landed, but he wasn't on the plane when it landed, but he was never to be seen or heard from again. And the fact that they said it was Loki the whole time who was DB Cooper, that shit was real interesting, because we never know what the fuck happened to DB Cooper. Like, he just was, we would never heard from DB Cooper ever again. I want to say this happened like in the 60s or 70s, some timeline like that. But the fact that they said like all of that shit was really just a bet between him and Thor, so he had to steal money, like that shit was crazy, bro. And how like the little beam had ended up sucking him up with all the money falling down. I was just like, that shit was dope. I like that setup for that scene.
Definitely. Yeah, this shit is good, bro. I feel like this show is definitely, I'm gonna put it above Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I feel like it's going to be better than that. From a theory standpoint, it's gonna go toe to toe with WandaVision. I feel like every episode, we're going to change theories over and over, just like how we did with WandaVision. This might be a little bit easier to predict, because I feel like with WandaVision, they were purposely setting stuff up so that it didn't happen. With this one, though, I feel like they're actually going to let the fans be right with what we predict this time. Because WandaVision, they purposely let us set shit up just for none of it to happen.
And I ain't even trying to really go that far with theories no more, because that shit really fucked up my whole feel of WandaVision. Because like everything you were hoping for, you was like, damn, you had so many theories going into episode 8, and when you see none of them, or really not a lot of them, happen in the last episode,
of them happen.
Yeah, it's just like, damn, like we all this build up, and for this. What? Like, that shit really fucked up my whole feeling of the show. I still fuck with WandaVision, my nigga, but it really fucked it up with the ending. So I'm gonna try to cool off on the theories. I'm gonna still have them, but I ain't trying to dive deep like I was with WandaVision. That shit hurt me.
I don't care.
That shit hurt me, my nigga.
They're gonna have to knock me down again for me to. They're gonna have to knock me down again for me to stop. I'm coming with the theories, y'all.
That shit knocked me down, my nigga, bro. Bro, you remember, bro? Do you remember my reaction to that fucking last episode? I was pissed. I text this nigga Edgar, bro. Immediately after I watched that shit, I said, bro, I'm fucking heated, my nigga. I was really mad, bro, that none of the shit that niggas had predicted happened. I was like, bro, fuck this shit, my nigga.
We still don't know where White Vision is. We don't know when White Vision is gonna come back or anything. He's out there in the world, right?
Man, we're gonna see, bro. We're gonna see.
But Loki episode 2 drops next week on Wednesday, so we'll definitely have next episode out for y'all. We will have this episode out this weekend, so make sure y'all check it out. You got anything else? Any other predictions?
Nah, bro, you can hit them with the social media.
You can follow us on Twitter at QE Podcast 1. You can follow us on Instagram at QANDE Podcast. You can follow and like our Facebook page. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the notification bell so you can see anytime that we drop new episodes. And our email, QANDEpodcast@gmail.com for any business inquiries, questions, or concerns.
Yes, and subscribe to all of our podcast platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And wherever you listen to podcasts, we are there. So definitely check us out. Subscribe to our YouTube, Q&E Podcast, and subscribe to my YouTube. Just type in Quincy Hicks into the search bar and definitely subscribe. And also check out all of the other movie reviews and show reviews that we had out. We have reviewed Snowfall. We just reviewed Cruella, Quiet Place 2. Man, we got a lot of shit coming. We did Spiral as well. So definitely check out everything that we got coming out, man. It's a lot. So definitely stick with us. We appreciate you for listening, and we out. Peace.